Alright, welcome to another Forex Killers update. Try to keep this one small. I'm just going to do DXY, S&P, and maybe EU, but that'll be about it. And then maybe gold or silver. I'll see how I feel. So I just want to speak about this move that we've got, this sort of trending on down. So this was one of my potentials. It was a smaller potential, and I don't think it's necessarily going to play in terms of, but we have to keep an eye open for it, and I did speak about this. So I'll just say we took out, we'll go the higher time frame. We took out the highs over here, right? So we were waiting for those two highs to be taken if we were going to get for the next pullback. Okay, so we trended up as discussed. Now, the potential move I was talking about was the flat, okay, which we're still looking at as a potential right now. A good way to do is chuck the fib on your three wave from the top, right, and we've hit the 1.382, which is a good reversal, along with taking the local highs or the highs from back over there. So hit that 382. We've got the three wave up after a three wave down. All right, if you chuck your fibs on that. Now, fibs, they can go anywhere, but the fibs have hit the 1618 on this. You know, use them as a guide, but they're really nothing to be constrained. All right, so we hit the 1618. Nice little tag there, the 1.382 fib extension. All right, so potentially looking at this wave, right? And it's probably going to have something to do with the news. Okay, looking at that for then more upside. So it is temporarily bearish, but it is overall bullish for the dollar. Now, so that's the bear move, right? That's the bear move that we've got to be looking at. Now, where do we start to draw the line and think, all right, that's the bear move that we're getting? Well, what I'm going to be looking at is this EL. So we've got this EL from back here. It was quite a significant expansion line from that contraction zone. Okay, now what we did is we broke we had a little bit of an expansion leg, and we broke straight down right into this big three wave. Came back up, a little bit of a retest, come back down, and now we've broken back above it. Subsequently come down and retested. We chucked a few wicks onto that EL, right, which is expected. So we're always going to get a bit of movement around there. You see how we've got a bit of a corrective structure in here for potential upside. Now, if we are going up, I'll be looking for, some RSI trend lines, like say this 2 hour, looking to break the trend here. Things like this help give us indications. I've spoke about this sort of extensively. So I look for my best trend lines, whatever I can find on the best time frame, and they just help to give you a bit of a clearer indication. But overall, looking at it, what can we get? As in, if we take the general three-phase market setup, right? So just a bit of an expansion, right? And then we go up for that expansion leg high. That's that 106, between 106 and 107 level I'm talking about, probably more like here. And then we can come back down and start putting corrections and come and move around this area. All right, so that's what I'm kind of expecting. Obviously, things will change depending on the data. So we've got to look at the fundamental data that's coming in from the US and what the Fed's doing. I think news, I haven't really checked it, but I know there's a news event tonight, my time. So 10, 12, 16 hours from now, something like that. So it's a New York news event. So I'll be looking at that. I might stay up for that, see if I can grab the right entry. But yeah, those two potentials. We got that bearish into bull, or we go bull and then sort of correct back down, and then obviously reassess from there, see what's going on. S&P, spoke about this extensively, and shorts playing out beautifully. If you didn't catch my video on the weekend, on the start of the week, I went over the S&P on a higher time frame. And then I think it was my last video, I went over yeah, on the weekend, I went over with extensively on trend lines, RSI trend lines. And then in my last video, I showed you, I gave this as an example. I said, price was sitting up at 39.85. And I said, look, we've got the break, we've got the bearish retest. This is a perfect example of when you've got a bearish bias rather than a bullish bias. And I obviously coupled that with a bunch of other TA spoken about extensively once again. So breaking the bullish trend, busting up back into it, and then rejecting at 40.63, which is the former EL, which I spoke about. We went a bit higher to about 40.78, but that was the first area for shorts that I spoke about. So we're getting short, got short there. It's come back down, and after it broke us, it was down at 39.86, and I said looking for short entries. Obviously breaking the 12-hour EL once again. So we bounced off that, but we've rejected, broken through that trend line. Bump and run down here as a potential TP first for another bit of a bounce. So retesting this trend. So that's a good take profit area for a bounce. But I expect that it would be a bounce, and then we'll break on down further. If we take it down on the time frames, I'll just sort of spoke about how closing above and then rejecting, right? So we did get that. It's played out beautifully. If we go down to a smaller time frame, I can show you an entry. So just had this contraction zone, expansion legs. I took another short here at the EL, and then obviously it shot up overnight for a higher expansion leg, but it was basically looking at this retest and down, and obviously had a bit of volatility during New York, went up and then sold off. So still in that short, it was just an expansion leg high. Would have been a great entry if you're awake. You knew the bearish bias, even though it had retested that EL. You need a retest of this EL to be bullish. So it was an expansion leg high. Take that short. If it came down, you see how it came down and hit that EL, and then had a bit of a candle up. So that's where you're taking your first profit, and then you're waiting for it to break, and then you could be confident in adding some more, right? And especially once it breaks this low and goes down, and doesn't just shoot back up. So if you went down and then it shot back up, you could obviously change your tact. But once it just broke and kept trending, you're confident that that's going to keep on going, keep on keeping on. So yeah, just trending down, looking at all this downside. So I've shown you those higher targets, higher time frame targets down here, 38.70 odd. Looking at tagging this trend line for my take profit, and then looking to get back in later. Silver, yeah, looking at corrective wave, tag the 1-to-1. I'm short on silver. We've got a bit of an expansion zone here, so holding this expansion line for the minute. Looking to come up maybe a little bit and then reject and sell off. That's what expecting, but obviously couple it up with DXY. So DXY, just to go back to that, looking at holding this EL and moving on up. That's basically what we're looking at, guys. What's this? I got it on the hourly. This was my 2-hour trend. But if we chuck a trend line here on the hourly, so we got that downtrend going, rejected. Now we've broken through. So if you've watched my videos, you know about these. You don't have to. They're not the be all end all. But you couple it with the other TA, i.e. the EL. Bit of a bottoming structure. We'll see what London plays out. We can mess around here. We can dip low, take out the sort of the double bottom setup they got going. A bit of liquidity under there. So just watch for these things, and grab an entry. Grab an entry. EJ finally selling off. I had to finally take 100 pips profit on one of my entries. I was just like, it just keeps correcting up and down. So once I hit 100 pips, I took one. I've got one entry still running. If we go into the daily, you see the daily break here of that trend line. So, again, that's I keep reiterating it. It's not the be all end all. It can go up and do this, right? We know that, but it's just a bit of confluence, a bit of added bias to the downside in saying that, you know, if we keep sort of coming back, if we come back up, it's you know, it's looking corrective, isn't it? So in terms of this wave, kind of corrective 3-wave, right? Looks corrective, bit of hidden bull, but you know, we can just do this and then we just start selling off. All right, so that's what I'm looking for, just for it to start selling off. We got that old EL through here, and come down, tag that, and then maybe a bit of a bounce and then sell off. That's what I'm looking for. See how that plays. All right, shank that like, guys. Share and subscribe. Appreciate it.